everyone. Hello, hello. I am so determined to just sit here and smile like this the entire time because Facebook always finds the worst part of the video to use as my screen capture and my grab for the video. But I feel like if I just sit here like this, nothing can happen, right? Anyway, when you get on, say hi, let me know you're here. But I'm here today because, as you know, I've decided to kind of celebrate my birthday for 2 weeks instead of one. So my birthday is August 28th, but I started the celebrations this week by doing a series of free education, these Facebook Lives, by doing giveaways, by doing contests, by doing discounts and doing specials. Hi, Holly. Hello, how are you? Miss Holly Shan. And just doing a whole bunch of fun things, right? And it's going to continue through the end of the month. I'm very excited about it. And today is video number 4 in the series. We are so we started with how to get absolutely everything you want in your business, or how to get what you want in your business now was really what we were talking about. And then we talked about getting visible, being seen, being heard, and being known, and how you do that. We talked about email lists and growing and nurturing your email list. And today we're talking about productivity, efficiency, everybody's favorite topic, right? It seems like it doesn't matter how much I talk about this, right? How many people I talk to, I always hear over and over, I feel like I'm working all day, but I'm not getting anything done. Or I'm working all the time and I think I'm doing all the right things, but I'm not getting the results that I was hoping for. Or I have kids and I have arms and a head and legs, and it rains outside and sometimes it's sunny, and that just throws me off my game and I don't know what to do, right? Like, there are things that come up, life happens, there are distractions. So especially when you are solely responsible for your day, you're not answering necessarily to anyone. You don't have to account for your time, right? It becomes easy to get very overwhelmed, very reactive, very distracted. So who feels like that? Tell me how you feel right now when it comes to your day. If I was standing right in front of you and I'm like, tell me, how do you feel about how you use every minute of the day? How do you feel about how your days go? How do you feel about your efficiency when it comes to getting results in your business and using your time effectively? What are your answers? I would love to hear them. Hi, Julie. Hi, Britt. Hello. So I would love to hear your answers. How do you guys feel about your day? How do you feel about your use of time? How do you feel about your efficiency? Do you feel like any of the ways that I just shared where people are coming up and telling me? Let me know how you guys are feeling about your days, so that, because I have, I normally show you the script, zero script for this one. I talk about this so much that there are a million different areas that I can talk about, but I really want to tailor it to kind of the people who took time to be here live. So Deborah says, I don't use my time effectively. So some days are better than others. So at least you own it, right? Tell me, Deborah, where do you think that you're not using your time effectively? Like, what do you do instead? Or what is it that you think you should be doing that you're not doing? And if you think you should be doing it, what are you doing instead? And I'd love to hear, like, who else? Like, what are your biggest challenges when it comes to time management, when it comes to being productive, when it comes to running, you hear this phrase all the time, running your day instead of letting it run you. Like, what are some of your biggest challenges around that? I would love to know. Holly says, sometimes I feel like I'm doing everything but not getting huge results. So that's another thing too, right? It's like when people are doing things, but they're not getting the results that they want or the level of results that they want. One thing that I start by asking is, well, what are the things that you're doing? Oftentimes, the things we're doing, the actions we are taking, are not the right actions to produce the results that we want. The next question I ask is, what is the quality of action that you're taking, and the quantity? Because our results are directly proportional to the effort and the action that we take. And so we need to make sure that if we're expecting big results, that we're taking really big actions, right? That could be a big, bold action. That could be a scary, outside the box action. That could be, you know, a high quantity level action, depending on what the action is. But often we can't expect big results if we're just doing normal kind of play it safe things, right? We just can't. If you want big results, you've got to take really big actions, right? Really bold actions. That's why I named my program Take Bold Action, Get Big Results, because that's how you get big results, is by taking really bold action, right? So sometimes it's, oh, you know, we're not really taking the right action, or we're not taking enough action, or we're not being consistent with the action. That's actually usually the big thing, is that we're not being consistent. We'll do it for a day or two, and then we fall out of it for 3 days. We kind of go half in on it. We show up a little bit, and then we disappear. So if you're not being consistent with a strategy, right, and an action for like 90 days to 120 days, then you can't really anticipate seeing results on it, or seeing results in a way that matter, right? So a lot of times we'll do something and we'll do it for like a week, and then we'll say, well, that didn't work. That didn't get me what I wanted. And then we hop over to another action, and then we're like, oh, tried that for 2 days and that didn't work. And then it's like, I'm going to try this thing. And nothing ever has time to really take root and grow. And so that can be a problem as well. We're going to talk about that, right? Julie says, I love that I can work my business on my phone. It's beautiful, but there are times that I need a desktop, and the idea of getting out my laptop slows me down. So Julie, right, I would challenge you about that. Like, I'm the same way, right? I love that I can do my business on the phone and do it from anywhere, but it's not always the most effective, efficient, and fastest way to conduct business over the phone. I need my laptop. So what can you do where you're not having to, where you make that easier for you? Maybe you don't have to get out your laptop. Maybe it's already out. Maybe it's already open. Maybe there's something fun that you can only use or see whenever you're on your laptop, right? So I would ask that question. Rachel says, I think it's likely I have an unrealistic expectation that magically time will be easier to manage once all the kids are back in school. I do think it will help with being able to have bigger time blocks too, full of interruptions that were largely outside of my control. We're going to talk about that in a minute. Deborah says, I don't schedule my meetings well. Some days I spend a lot of time yeah. So the meetings, I'm going to write that down because I was just talking to a client about that today. So meetings and kids and after X, then Y kind of mentality, the level of action, you know. Deborah says, I'm not being consistent. And Holly said, same here, not consistent enough. So if you already know you're not being consistent, that's the first place to go start addressing the actions that you're taking after we talk through a few things today, and you make sure that they're the right actions, right? But even if they're not like the perfect, because there aren't any perfect actions, right? And action is better than no action, but action that's not consistent might as well be no action, right? You have to be consistent with the strategy that you're picking and what you're doing and what you're implementing for your business. So I love these answers, guys. Thank you. So let's talk about it, right? Because today I said, look, what we're going to talk about today is scheduling. We're going to talk about time. We're going to talk about tasks and the right tasks, right? One thing I will say before I get into that, and Deborah, I'll start right away with you. I'll start with the meeting. So a lot of people, and I'm included in this, okay? So I'm included in the a lot of people scenario. Love in-person meetings. I love meeting people in person. I think it's great. I love, and I'm not talking about like networking events. It's a little different, right? But I mean, I love one-on-ones or one-to-ones or whatever they call them at different networking events. But I love coffee. So I love meeting people for coffee. Right? Here's the problem. Here's the problem with in-person meetings is that you have to commute there. Sometimes things can happen to make the commute longer. You have to commute home. They have to commute there. They might not get there right on time. It's very hard to start a meeting on time and end it on time if you allocated 1 hour and you're talking. It's very odd and awkward to be like, I'm sorry, it is 4:14 right now, and I had this in my calendar until 4:15, so I'm just gonna have to end this right where we are and wrap it up and talk to you later, right? Like, it's impossible. We lose a lot of efficiency and a lot of time by having a lot of in-person meetings. Now, I'm not saying don't have in-person meetings. But what I'm saying is when you're at an event and somebody's like, hey, I would love to talk to you, learn a little more, right? We only got to chat for a minute or two. Don't default to an in-person meeting right away. Have a 15-minute Zoom session or a 15-minute Skype call. Say, yeah, sure, I would love that. Like, I'd love to schedule 15-minute get to know you Zoom sessions or 15-minute Skype sessions. And then you can dig into each other a little more and find out what the synergy is, what the relationship could be, if there's a relationship to be had there at all. And then you'll know what the right next step is in terms of getting together and meeting, and whether that's the kind of person that you want to meet with, if that's the right person in relation to your goals and the types of relationships you're looking to build, because networking is also strategic. And while relationships are great, relationship building, do you guys see a pattern with building your business? Like strategy, right? But I see all too often people fall down the rabbit hole of in-person meetings. Not only that, but then their meetings get scheduled not like in a row. It's not like I'll be like, I am at the coffee house from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock. So I'm going to have a 9 to 10, a 10 to 11, and 11 to 12. Now, some people do that. But for the most part, it's like, oh, someone wanted to see me from 9 to 10, and then somebody else wants to see me from 1 to 2. And then I'm going to go over here and see this person from 4 to 5. And remember, all of the energy that's getting lost by the commute and by all of those little inefficiencies with in-person meetings. So Deborah and everybody else watching, where meetings are kind of one of your downfalls, where you're like, gosh, there's always so many people to see and so much to do, and I never get done anything in a day when I have all of these people to meet in person. I would like you just to try to default to not having the first meeting being in person, but giving it a set time, like a 15-minute, 20-minute Zoom, internet, or you can do the phone, right? But this kind of gives the in-person feeling when you're both face-to-face on the computer. For the relationship building, I would like to challenge you to try that. I think what we find out all too often is when we just say yes to meeting everyone, not only are we not valuing our time because there are other things that we need to do and other priorities that we have with our business that we're going to talk about, but we're kind of saying that it doesn't really matter whether that's the right person for us to meet with or not. Now, people know, especially through my 35 dates in 35 days, that I'm a big believer that you meet everyone for a reason, that there's never a wasted meeting, that there's always something in every person you meet. There's never a bad date. There's never a bad networking event. Because you always learn something or take something away from it. So it's never like a wasted opportunity. But when you are a business owner and time is limited, you have to be strategic about it. So who does that? Who's watching? I'm going to sneeze, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm trying not to sneeze. Who meets people in person all the time and feels like you lose a lot of your day from that? And how many of you have gone to first meetings on like the internet or on the telephone? I would love to know. Holly said, this is also why I don't like to go to networking events that are further out of my area. So Holly, networking events are a little different, right? It depends on the networking event and why you're going. Networking events out of your area can be wonderful. Holly, I happen to know you can work with clients from all over the world. They don't have to be in person. You work with a lot of your clients virtually, right? So meeting clients outside of your area can be great to introduce you to new markets and new people, right? I'm talking more about the one-on-one meetings, right? If I went to a networking event where I'm going to meet 50 people at once and they are part of my strategy and it seems like the right place for me to be networking for whatever my goals are, my reasons, and the relationships I want to build, it could very well be worth a 1.5-hour drive there and a 1.5-hour drive back to have those opportunities and meet those people and expand my network, right? I'm talking about these one-on-one, it seems like everybody's default is, I'd love to get together for coffee with you, right? Hey, before you even know the person, before you even really, it's like, hey, saw you here, wish we could have talked more, let's get together for coffee, let's have a coffee. And I go, actually, my schedule is really structured and I would love to meet with you and talk to you more, but I do that through 15-minute Zoom sessions. So if that's okay with you, I'd love to set one up. When are you free for 15 minutes? Let's get it scheduled. I'll send you the information. We can get online. We can chat. And that works fine, right? I've never had anybody go, oh, that's weird, right? Everyone's like, oh, okay. If anything, they value my time more, right? Because they see that I value it. So That's what I'm going to say about meetings. Okay. But let's talk about in general. Let's start, well, okay, Jacqueline, I don't know if you're on. Jacqueline's my girl, and she's always on my Facebook Lives, and she's got this answer down pat now. But where do we start before we start with any action when it comes to having a better schedule and better productivity? Where is the first place that we start? Do you guys know? In the very first place, going once, going twice. This will be the face. This will be the face that Facebook pulls as the screen capture. Mindset, okay? So if you think there's never enough time, guess what? There's never gonna be enough time, right? We've talked about this in every video, that you create your reality. Your mind creates your reality, right? What we believe becomes real. You can choose to believe something different, and that will become real, right? It's what you believe that is your reality. And so it's very important with time that you start realizing there's plenty of time for everything you want to do. And so with language and with thoughts, one phrase that I have my clients start saying is, well, I have them toss out the phrase, I don't have time, there's not enough time, I didn't have time to get to that, oh, I don't have time to do that. Instead, I have them use the phrase, it's not a priority for me to spend the time on that right now. So if somebody's like, hey, Rita, would you love to go to this like nighttime social event on Friday night, blah, blah, blah. And somebody going, oh, you know, that's great, but I'm really busy. I got some plans on Friday. Like, you know, using that as an excuse to when I really want to say is no. That's the first thing. I really want to say no. So I'll use time as an excuse. But that's not good, because then your brain actually believes it. It thinks, oh, I guess we don't have time. I guess we are time lacking, and now we have to freak out about it, right? So instead I say, it's not a priority for me to spend my Friday night that way. It's not a priority for me to spend my time on that, but thank you so much for the invitation, which is true, right? And now if somebody asks me to something and it is a priority for me, then when I go to say it's not a priority, I'm going to feel like, but it is. But then what I have to say is, I would love to do that. I just need to figure out how. I need to figure out how to make that work, right? Instead of just immediately defaulting to the I don't have time, or I'm so busy, or you know, I can't get that done, or I have kids, so there's no way I could do that. We put ourselves in these little boxes, these identity boxes, and we tell ourselves stories, and they're not real. Where there are plenty of people who are entrepreneurs running businesses that have kids, and they get tons done every day, right? I mean, let's not kid ourselves, right? There are plenty of parent entrepreneurs that are getting tons done every day. Now, if it's a priority for you to be working on your business and you're not, then the language will help you align your actions. But it's okay also if your priority is your family, right? Then what you have to do is let go of some of the shoulds of what you should be doing in your business, and instead say, it's a priority for me, you know, to be with my family. And I understand that that means that I will be taking less action in my business and building my business slower. So it's being in alignment and in integrity with your language and your thoughts around time. So that's the first place to start. Identify all of these stories you're telling yourself about your time, about your days, about your ability to get things done. Notice the language that you're using and start changing those. Right? Start changing those, and you will find that you will start having a different experience with time. And when people say, well, what do you mean, Rita? There is not plenty of time to do everything I want, because there's a lot that I want to do, right? Well, one is getting really clear on your goals and knowing what your priorities are, because you can do anything, but you can't do everything, right? There are limits to society's structure of how we structure a day. But when it's a priority for you, you absolutely can. And here's an example. This is an example from a book I love called How to Be a Badass, right? This is an example of Jen's from her book. And I think she talks about, like, have you ever noticed that maybe you have a messy hallway, a messy foyer, and you haven't put together a table and this whole organization system because you don't have time. You're just too busy. You're too busy to put that together. You're too busy to structure all of that, right? So then you lose your keys because you throw your keys somewhere and you can't find them. Suddenly you have 3 hours to find your keys. right? You didn't have 3 hours to put together the whole organizational system, but now you have 3 hours to find your keys, right? So we have time for what's important. We will make time, find time, have time for what's important to us. So we have to really ask ourselves what's important. And that's the first thing when it comes to kind of scheduling our day and knowing what we should be working on is, what are my priorities? What are my core values? And not just knowing your core values, but ranking them. So from who's watching, what are some of your core values? Is your business one of your values? Is financial independence one of your values? Is family one of your values? Do you know the order? If you had to list your top 3 priorities in order, right? Most important, second important, third important, would you know what they are? Yes or no? I'd love to hear your thoughts. I see you guys talking about time blocks and power sheet. Yeah, we're going to go into that. We're going to go into time blocking, we're going to go into power sheeting, we're going to go into all of that, right? So if you're watching on replay, please answer these questions too, right? Because you all know I come back and I look at the replay. So that's the first thing. The first thing is, what are my values? And then prioritize them, so you know where you need to be making your choices. And then the next is to align your thoughts and your language around the results that you want when it comes to time and efficiency. But now let's talk about what you really should be doing in any given day with your business. So who here remembers the difference between marketing and business building? Now this is a Rita thing. You might not hear this from other people. Right? This is kind of something I've deduced from working with people and everything I've read. It's kind of Rita's take on the whole thing. But does anybody know the difference between business building and marketing? And if you've been in any of my programs, you probably know this, but who wants to answer? Anybody want to answer? You can even just say yes, that you know the difference. You don't have to say what it is. Or no. Do you guys know the difference between business building and marketing? Because that becomes very important whenever you are looking at what should I be doing in a day effectively and efficiently to build my business and to be productive instead of being busy. And this is along the lines of, are you taking the right actions, right? So are you taking the right actions? So we've talked about kind of mindset and a broader take on time, but now we're getting into like the nitty gritty of, okay, right, I'm gonna talk about what I actually need to be doing in a day. So here's Rita's definition of business building versus marketing. Business building is, you are in a business building stage of your business whenever you have not yet reached the level of income that you want, or you haven't kept that level of income consistent for 6 months. So if you haven't reached the level of income that you want, or you have, but it's infrequent, and you haven't kept it consistent for 6 months, you are in a business building phase of your business, and your tasks should be predominantly business building tasks, okay? And if you are at the level of income that you want to reach, and you've kept that consistent for 6 months or more, then you are what I call in the marketing phase of your business. So it's very important to know where you are in your business. Are you in a business building phase, or are you in a marketing phase? So based on that definition, who wants to tell me in the comments, what phase of business are you in? So Rachel's like, yes, these priorities is why I needed to not do work this morning and go on a bike ride with my kids, but it's still difficult when the workload is full, right? Hard to shut out the shoulds. Yeah, it really is, right? And it's hard to kind of give yourself grace and also be okay with growing slowly your business if you want to spend time on another priority, right? So what phase of business are you guys in? Business building or marketing? And if you're watching on replay, shout it out in the comments. Put, let me know you're watching on replay. Say business building or marketing. But it's important because now, based on your phase of business, that's the type, of activities that need to be filling your day. So let's talk about what those are. So business building, because you're trying to generate revenue. So business building activities are calculated to get you revenue now or in the immediate future. Okay, so those are business building activities. They will get you revenue now or in the immediate future. Marketing activities, well, they can get you revenue. They're more likely to build your pipeline, to foster relationships, to nurture relationships, and to move people into a business building activity at some point for you to get the revenue. You can build your entire business with only business building activities and no marketing activities, the way that I define them, and be fine. But it's very hard to build your business with only marketing activities and not business building activities, okay? So it's very important. So when I say, and I know this is always a question, well, what's predominantly? You say, if I'm in a, so Deborah's in a business building phase. So you're like, if I'm in a business building phase, what do you mean by the majority of my time needs to be spent on business building activities? Well, when you think that you should be working your business like a job, right? Like you need to be working your business 8 hours a day, right? And a lot of people are like, whoa, hold up. That's why I left corporate America, so I don't have to work 8 hours a day. And that's true, right? We do. But you have to kind of realize that, especially at the beginning and while you're building and trying to get to the level that you want, putting in that time now will pay off with so much freedom and so much more flexibility in the future. But we can't usually get there to that point of that freedom and that flexibility if we don't put in the time on the front end, right? And if we don't put the time in on the front end, then we have to be okay with either never reaching kind of that aspiration of what we're thinking about or having it take longer. You just have to, and there's nothing wrong with that. You just have to be okay with it, right? So I say at least 3 hours a day of the activities based on your phase of business. So we have client work, we have admin work, we have sales, well, that's part of business building. So we have admin work, we have client work, we have personal time, we have morning routine, we have evening routine, we have training and education, we have business building activities, we have marketing activities. So we have these little different buckets, right? These little categories. Well, if you're in a business building phase, 3 hours, so like Deborah was, business building, 3 hours a day minimum need to be spent on business building activities. So what are they? They are networking, and that includes online, but I don't mean marketing online, so we're going to talk about that. Networking online and offline, public speaking, and public speaking can be to groups, associations, organizations, meetups. It can be hosting your own Facebook Lives like I'm doing right now. It can be your own webinar. It can be your own workshop. The idea is for it to fall under business building. If you're doing it yourself, it needs to be interactive. You need to be talking to people and relationship building, not just a pre-recorded video, right? So public speaking, vendor tables or exhibitor tables, working a vendor or exhibitor table at an event, or sales calls, submitting proposals, having sales meetings, having sales calls, whatever you call them. Those are business building activities. So if you're in the business building phase, the majority of your day needs to be, outside of client work, needs to be spent on those activities. So one question to ask yourself after you say, is my mindset in alignment with the results that I want all the time, is, am I working on the right tasks? Or, right, are you in a business building phase but working on marketing tasks? So what are marketing tasks? If you're in a marketing phase of your business, then you need to be working predominantly on marketing tasks. Those are podcasts, newsletters, writing articles, blogs, your website, brochures, business cards, right? Those kinds of things. Your marketing things, flyers and Facebook ads and all of that, right? Like digital and traditional marketing and everything that helps you build a pipeline is marketing. So a lot of times we are in a business building phase of our business, but we are working on marketing activities and wondering why we're not getting the results that we want, right? What we want is income, and we want revenue, and we want revenue now or in the immediate future, but we're not working on business building activities. We're working on marketing activities. And marketing activities, yes, it can help. And every now and then somebody might go to, now if you have an e-commerce site, that's a little different, right? But every now and then somebody might come to your site and click and say, oh, I want to hire Rita as a coach, without ever having talked to her, without ever having seen her speak, without knowing who she is, just from reading this blog. Click, I'm sold. Let's sign me up, right, for her 6-month private coaching for $7,000, sight unseen. Click. Maybe, right? Every now and then that'll happen. what usually happens is, wow, that was a really interesting blog. Oh, look, it says here she runs a Facebook group. Now, running the Facebook group falls under networking because that's relationship building, right? Oh, it says that she runs this Facebook group. So I'm going to go join the Facebook group. And now, wow, I'm watching her do these videos and I'm seeing her post. And that's really cool. I think I'm going to have a sales call with her. I think I'm going to get on the phone with her. Wow, she's just as great on the phone as I ever dreamed at night that she could ever be, right? So I'm going to hire her. I'm going to hire her. That's the traditional way. That's, you know, usually what happens. So if you are only doing marketing activities and expecting business building level results, you're going to be disappointed, right? Likewise, if you are in a marketing phase and you're just constantly business building, you are also going to be disappointed because there are all these different stages of people and pipelines and bringing people in and nurturing. And we talked about the buyer sales cycle. That was a freebie that I gave you, right? I gave you a video on that just the other day, and I gave you an infographic so you can search through previous posts and see that, right? So all of that becomes important. So the phase of business that you're in, you need to be doing at least 3 hours a day of the type of activities that we talked about. That doesn't mean that if you're in a business building phase, you're not also doing marketing. And it doesn't mean that if you're in a marketing phase, you are not doing business building. It just means after you've met that majority of your time doing the tasks for the area that you're in, then in kind of the pockets, right around your client work and around your other time, you can do the other activities in the other phase of business. Does that make sense? You guys are really quiet. Hopefully it means you're taking a lot of notes. But does that make sense? Just say yes or no. If you're watching on replay, tell me. Say yes. Like, have you found that sometimes you're in a business building phase, but you're doing marketing activities? Does that make sense to you? I just want to make sure that you guys understand that, right? So we've talked about kind of the right tasks to be working on based on your phase of business, right? Your stage of business. But then how do you actually structure your day? So let me ask you guys, do you guys have a certain way that you love to structure your day? Some people have really great time management systems they follow. Some people just have their own way that they've really connected with and works. I would love to hear from you guys. What are you guys doing to structure your actual day? What software systems are you using? What calendar systems are you using? Are you using somebody's time management system? I would love to, or is it just, I'm kind of winging it? Like, I don't really have a set thing. I just kind of get up and just do whatever pops up that day. Like, I would love to know, how are you actually scheduling and getting through your day? If you could share that in the comments, that would be great. Oh, good. I see Deborah says yes, she gets it, right? And we'll see. I always give you guys a minute or two for the lag. And then if I don't get an answer, you know me, I'm just going to keep on talking. I'm just going to keep on talking. So there are all kinds of ways to structure your actual day. But I'm going to kind of give two of my favorites that my clients have also loved, right? And this is higher level, not like task management and all of that. But one way is time blocking. So I don't know if anybody out there is a big fan of time blocking. I am, so say, whoop, whoop, right? Say that, well, you can't do that in the comments, but be like, drop an emoji or say, I love time blocking if you're a big time blocker, right? If you're a time blocker, let me know. The other is theme days, right? Having a whole day dedicated to a certain type of task. Or sometimes people half their day, have the morning dedicated to a certain type of task, in the evening dedicated to a certain type of task. So what I mean by that is maybe Mondays are your networking days, or anything that's out of the office is your Monday. Maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays are your client days. You schedule all your client appointments, client work, client meetings, right? Maybe Wednesday is your business building day. You're doing all things business building related, right, during your business building time. So maybe we have theme days, or maybe you just have blocks of time. Now I'm going to share it as a birthday gift to you guys, my schedule, a sample schedule. I'm writing down that I told you that I will do that in the Facebook group, in the files section. But you'll see how I block my time. I have my morning routine. The first thing I do is block out my morning routine time from 5 to 8 a.m. And then I block out that from 7 o'clock on at night, right? That's kind of my personal, whatever I want to do with it time. And then between are my work days, right? That's my work time. I meet with my clients on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday afternoons. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday afternoons. And Thursdays are left open, and Fridays are left open, and the mornings are left open on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Now, what I do with those mornings are my business building activities, marketing activities on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Fridays are my training days, right? Like when I'm doing education in my industry or on my field or working with my coach or taking courses or doing whatever, right, to further my personal growth and to further my business growth. So that's what I'm doing, right? And then I kind of have a catch-all time, and I have a little bit of admin scheduled there. I take a lunch every day, right? So I backwards build my schedule. So I say, okay, this is the time I want to be done every day, right? And this is when I'm doing my evening routine. This is the time I want to be up and doing my morning routine. This is the time I want to start working. So then I block everything together. All my client work is done in a block of time. All my business building work is done in a block of time. All my sales calls are done in a block of time. Because here's what happens. When you switch in and out of activities, you're losing energy, right? You're losing focus, you're losing productivity. So if I go from a sales call into a client call, those are two different types of energies. The energy I need for a sales call is very different than the energy I need for a client call. But if I'm going back and forth between them, I'm actually losing energy every time I switch in and out. If I keep all my sales calls together, I'm in the same energy. And then I switch, right, to writing. And I keep all my writing activities together. And then I switch, right? And I switch to client work. And I keep all my client work together. And then I switch. And I do all my videos, right? Then I switch. You guys see what I'm saying? So you're losing less energy because you're keeping in a certain type of energy for the tasks that you're doing. And that becomes very important for efficiency. And the way that your mind works and your focus and all of that when you're doing tasks. So time blocking is more than just kind of like putting time in your calendar for things. It's about clustering and grouping like activities together. And another thing to consider about productivity is, when are you at your most alert? When are you at your most energetic state, right? Because when you're at that most energetic state is when you need to be doing the thing you need the most focus on. That's why I work with clients later in the day. Look at me. Do I need to be wide awake and a lot of energy to be excited? And no, right? Not at this time, because I draw energy from people. I draw energy from people. I draw energy from doing this. I draw energy so I can be later in the day, be a little less, alert, and get alert by talking to my clients. But I can't write when I'm tired. I can't write an article. I can't edit things, right? I can't write content. I can't do any of that when I'm tired. That's what I'll push off. So that's the activity that I need to do for me when I'm at my most alert. Well, I'm at my most alert, from 10 to 12. So that would be my marketing block of time, 10 to 12, right? So some questions when you're talking about your schedule to be efficient. So now we've talked about, some deeper things like values, mindset, language, and the importance of that. We talked a little bit about how to handle meetings, and now we've talked about the right tasks to be working on, and now we're talking about actually scheduling your day, right? So that you're doing the tasks in the right time block. And so you need to ask yourself, when is my highest energy level, and schedule the thing you need the most attention and focus on for that level. You need to kind of group or cluster activities together, whether that's in time blocks, theme days, half days, whatever, right? That's the way you're going to find a lot of productivity. Now we go into, in the Take Bold Action, Get Big Results program, we go into that in detail where we're really identifying your best time. We're not just saying, oh, you're business building or, oh, you're marketing, but we're saying, here are the things that you really need to be doing for those tasks based on where you are in your business. And we also then get into scheduling the tasks, right? How do you schedule the tasks so that when you're on task, you stay on task and you don't get distracted. You overcome procrastination, you get more done, you're not sucked into email, you're not sucked into social media. That is a training all on itself and something that I can't do today, but we do that in detail in the Take Bold Action program. So if productivity, getting a schedule together, knowing your time blocks, knowing the right actions for you to be taking, if that's important to you, if knowing how to not get distracted is important to you, if understanding not just how to defeat and kind of overcome procrastination, but how to not get sucked into the social media black hole, ways that you can automate and do things to help keep that from happening, ways that you can delegate, right, make things more efficient, all of that. Routines, how do you really plan a routine and stick to it? All of that's in the Take Bold Action program, right? But I wanted to give you the high level overview of things you could implement right now. So one is your language and your thoughts around time. The other is now you understand how to identify what phase of business you're in, and therefore what tasks the majority of your time should be focused on before moving to the other tasks. And you have a great way to kind of block your tasks and understand the importance of that and how energy works and when to schedule things within your day, right? And I think that those are some of the most important things, right? The most important kind of foundational pieces. Hi, Penny. Hi, hello. And I see Karen joined. Hello. So those are kind of the most important pieces when it comes to the high level overview of scheduling your day. Now, we talked about meetings. We talked about how to handle meetings and in-person meetings with people and what you really, one thing you should really do instead of saying yes to the coffee, right? We talked about that. The other thing I want to talk about is something Rachel said. So Rachel, I don't know if you're still on, but Rachel said, you know, I feel like after the kids are back in school, then I'll have more time, right? And I hear this all the time. I just need to get my ducks in a row and then I'll have time. After I graduate from this program, then I'll have time. After I'm done with this coaching course, then I'll have time to do this, right? After I'm done with whatever, then that. After I have my kid, then things will be fine. After my kids start kindergarten, then things will be better, and I will have more time freed up. Oh, after I go on vacation and then get back, and then once the fall starts, right? How many of you have done that? Like, just say that. Like, how many of you have said that phrase? I know I have, in one way or another. Oh, after this, then I can do that. Right? It's like the chicken and the egg situation, right? I hear this a lot with people who are thinking about hiring me or hiring coaches, right? And they'll go, oh, well, after I get some money, then I can afford a coach. and I don't, you know, people have to do it when it's the right decision for them. But the reality is after you get a coach, you'll get some money, right? So it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, right? Well, sometimes it's not waiting for that thing to free up that's going to be what magically unleashes this most productive day ever. It's by getting productive and starting to step into your most productive day ever that all of this other stuff starts falling in place. But here's the thing, guys. Oh, so Penny says, I want to know how to spend less time on social media. Penny, you really should join the Take Bold Action course. And I'm not just saying that because I think it's a wonderful program. That's one of the reasons I'm saying it, right? But we go into that in detail. It's a huge part. We talk about automation. We talk about setting goals for social media, the right actions to be taking on social media, ways that you can not get distracted, and they're actually going to implement it, right? Take Bold Action is a program where you're actually implementing those things as we talk about them. So you're doing them and you leave the program kind of saying, oh, I've got this schedule and it's great. I'm not getting distracted. I'm not getting sucked in. So if you want to know more about that, I'm putting the link here after this is over, and you can check it out. And there's a special, of course, because it's my birthday. No, my birthday on the 28th, but I'm giving all kinds of gifts this week. But anyway, but how many of you have felt like that? Like, I'm looking through the comments. I know I've said that before. After this, then that. Or once this happens, I'll have more time. But the reality is, because life doesn't stop, right? Life never stops. It's not like suddenly the world just stands still and now you have all this time for stuff. So if you don't learn how to prioritize and find the time for things that you want in the present moment, right, and make those a reality, you're never going to be able to do that. You're just never going to be able to do it because life doesn't stop. It's just new things happen. So yeah, maybe your kids go from being at home to being in school, right? But now there's a whole new level of things that happen once they're in school. Maybe, you know, you finish up a program. Well, now great, you finished up a program, you've graduated, you have a degree, and now you have new jobs and new responsibilities and new people and new opportunities. Like, life doesn't stop. There's always going to be something that can be a distraction from doing something. So you really have to ask yourself, what are my priorities? And find ways now to reinforce to you that your priorities are important and that you make time for what's important to you and you work it out. You're not a victim to time. You're not a victim to circumstances. You make choices every day to do things or to not do things, right? You make choices every day to do something or to not do something. And those choices then create our reality, right? So how you choose to interact with the events in your day, how you choose to structure, what you choose to let distract you, that's your choice. It's not just happening to you. You are an active participant in that, right? Can we all get on board with that? Like, you are an active participant in allowing that to happen. You are not just a victim of like, oh man, I was born with a gene that means I'm never going to interact with time in a wonderful way. There's no gene like that, right? Like, oh man, I was born with a procrastination gene, or I was born with a can't ever have an efficient day gene, or I was born with the I get distracted on social media gene. No, right? Like, we let these things happen. So, and I say that because it's really, really important for you to see that life always happens. There's always going to be something. You're stepping into new opportunities. You're stepping into new people and new places and new stages of life. And all that does is bring different problems, right? So yeah, one problem might be solved. One obstacle might be solved. One distraction might go away, but there will then be another and another. So at a certain point, you have to say, wait a minute, I have to stop waiting for things to happen in order to be able to focus on what's important to me. And instead, you have to make the choice to find the time to focus on what's important to you with what you've got right now, the way that it is right now. And that's what we do in the Take Bold Action program. That's what I do with my clients. It's obviously more individualized because it depends on where you are in your life right now. It depends on what your priorities are and what your values are, what your goals are for your business, what stage of business you're in, right? Everything we've talked about. It depends on that. So I can't like give you that right here, but that I just want to say that because that thought process can get so many people in trouble when it comes to one day going, man, it's been 4 years and I still haven't done that thing I want to do, right? Because it feels like it's never the right time, right? It feels like it's never the right time, and it will usually never feel like it's the right time, especially with something bigger and scarier and bolder and riskier. You're always going to want to be distracted because the distraction is more comfortable than kind of the fear conquering energy that you need to work up to do the new scary bold thing, right? So that's what I'm going to say about that. And then the other thing is kind of the kids, right? I get it. I mean, I don't have them. So I don't have children. I have a dog, which is not the same. I totally understand that, right? But I have many clients who have children. And what I'll say again is it's a story we tell ourselves. Some of my clients with children swear that they can't get anything done. Other clients that have children the exact same age and the exact same family circumstance are getting tons done. Again, it's a choice of your mindset because your thoughts become a reality, and it's a choice in how you choose your time. But it's also a reality that you have kids, right? And it's okay to want to prioritize your family, and it's okay to want to take time for your family, and it's okay. But I'm going to give you a story from my life as a dating coach. So if you're single, here's another little twofer, right? Little twofer bonus. There was a client that I had who always said, man, you know, like I'm a single mom and like nobody wants to date a single mom. It's so hard to date when you have kids. I can't get out. I can't do this stuff. Like she was taught what she didn't realize and what she didn't mean to do, but what she was doing was talking about her kids as if they were a liability, right? As if they were a liability and the reason she could not successfully date. And she didn't mean that. She didn't want to see her kids as a liability. She didn't want to talk about her kids as a liability. So we just switched her language, which came from switching her thoughts, which was her kids were an asset, not a liability. Because she had kids, she would be able to be more efficient with her time and make her dating meaningful and make it matter. Because she had kids, she would attract the right people into her world, right? So she was just looking at who she wasn't attracting and what she wasn't able to do. All she did was change her perspective, right? Her kids were now not a liability. They were an asset. They were helping her find the right partner. They were helping her, and because that happened, her language changed, her energy changed. When she said when she was out and about, and she was talking, other people were attracted to that energy. She called me and said, Brita, it's been a week. I've had this new mindset. I have this new perspective. And I just got asked out by 2 guys, and they're both great. And I said, well, why do you think that happened? She said, actually, they told me. They said that it was because when I talked about my kids, I glowed, that I seemed like I really loved them, that I was like a real family person. They just were really attracted to that energy because they also had kids, right? So she's like, it was amazing, right? Right? And that's what happens, right? So when you have a business and you have children, I'm not saying you have to get rid of your children or prioritize them, and you have to accept the reality of your situation. But I promise that if you can start noticing, if you're speaking about them as if they're a liability to your business, and switch it to speaking about them as if they're an asset, and start thinking about having children as an asset, the reason why your business will grow so well, the reason why you will be efficient with your time, the reason why, right, you'll reach all of these goals, then you will start having that reality, because our mindset becomes our reality. Right? So with children, that's the one tip that I would say. Now, I work with my clients and I work with people in the Take Bold Action program to actually build a schedule around the realities, the logistics and the realities of having children, right? But hopefully some of these thoughts around kind of saying, wait a minute, there's always going to be something, right? My kid's going to go from kindergarten into first grade, into needing me to bring homework, into, you know, being in junior high and having plays and having sporting events and having more and more extracurricular activities, into college, into this, into jobs, into whatever, into blah, blah, blah. There's always going to be something. And as you grow in your business, now it's like, oh, but now they want me to speak, and now they want me to be on a podcast, and now they want me to be, so now my ability to work with clients is, there's always something. Always something. So for your priorities, once you know what they are, you have to say, I'm making time for them right now in my present reality the way they are, right? So hopefully you guys found this helpful around ways to stop being busy and start being productive. And to kind of recap again, it's about your mindset and your language around time, like we talked about at the beginning. It's knowing your values and prioritizing your core values and being okay with that, giving yourself grace. It's about understanding that your results are equal to the action that you take. You're either taking the wrong action, you're not taking enough action, you're not being consistent, which is usually what it is, with the action. You need to pick an action and a strategy and stick with it for 90 days, right, to really see the results. And that alone helps you be more productive. When you start hopping back and forth between a million things, you become very reactive, you're not productive. You need to know the phase of business you're in, like we talked about. And in that phase, you need to work on the activities that are related to that phase first, before you work on anything else. Predominantly, the majority of your day on those. You need to structure your day using the methods that we talked about to keep your energy high, to keep yourself alert, to make it where you're not losing as much energy as you go throughout the day, where you're being more productive. You need to handle meetings the way that we talked about. You need to think about and address and think about your life circumstances and your children the way that we talked about, right? And if you do all of this, now there's more to it, obviously, than I can go into in an hour-long Facebook Live video, right? But if you can just grasp some of these concepts, I think you'll find that you really, really will start feeling more productive and more intentional with what you're doing and how you're doing it and when you're doing it. And I swear on this quote, right? The more scheduled you are, the freer you feel. The more your calendar is full, the freer you feel, because you've got everything that you want to get done scheduled. I know that my free time starts at X time. I know that all my clients are scheduled. I know that my business building time is scheduled. I know that it's there. And so I can relax, right? There is a time, and it's there, and it's allocated, and it's carved out. If I didn't have my day scheduled, I wouldn't really even be thoughtful about what I was doing. I would get to the end of the day and go, oh my gosh, I didn't get my priorities done. I didn't get what I should have gotten done. I didn't get all this stuff done. Now I have to work late. Why am I always working late? Why am I always working on weekends? Oh my gosh, I have to work all the time. But we forget that the reason we're working nights and weekends is because we didn't really work in the middle of the day, or we didn't work on the right things in the right way. Right? So I just want to say that, right? Like, that's where it comes from. So hopefully, if you start implementing some of this, you're going to start feeling more productive. Now, if this is an area, because this is really it, right? So Rachel says, I don't have the luxury to waste time. Since spending time with my kids are a priority, I have to create time blocks to get done what needs to be done. Right? To get around their neediest times, right? I also have a client who's like, I just make my kids know I have to work. Right? Like I tell them sometimes, I can't make your play because I have to work. Now, I don't do that all the time, she said, but like, it's important to show my children that if they have a job and they have a goal and they have a business, that it is okay to factor that in and prioritize them. I never want them to feel guilty, is what she said, about choosing to work on their business, right, and missing a baseball game or something. Like, so if I make them feel like that's a bad thing, then they will grow up thinking that that's a bad thing, right? Like, and it's also about showing your kids it's important to work hard for your goals, right? There's a lot of role modeling that happens when you're an entrepreneur and you have a business. It's okay, you know, a lot of kids who have parents as entrepreneurs grow up to be entrepreneurs because they see it and they admire it and they love it and they learn good work ethic and they learn good, right? So what are you modeling for your children and how you choose to run your business, right? And again, there's no right or wrong answer. It's just making sure, right, that it's in alignment with your priorities. And that's what becomes really important, right? I'm not saying that you have to like model that working all the time is good for your children, right? Like, it's on you to decide that, right? It's on you to decide what you want to model for your children. But oftentimes if we just stop and think, wow, I'm really not modeling what I want, right? And it just takes stopping and pausing and thinking about it. So anyway, if this is an area that really, that you're like, I don't want to wait any longer to have a schedule. I don't want to wait. Like, I want to get my time blocks. I want to get my days. I want to understand what Rita means by business building tasks. How do I get vendor tables? What do I do there to be efficient? How do I speak? How do I get speaking gigs? How do I get speaking engagements? And how do I leverage them so I actually get clients from them? How do I get sales calls? And how do I use my sales calls effectively so I'm converting them? How do I network online and network offline? And what's the difference between marketing online and networking online? Right? That's what we go into in detail in the Take Bold Action, Get Big Results program, which starts September 10th. Many of you know it's open for registration. Through the end of the day today, it's 10% off. It's only a $497 program for a 90-day program that goes into detail on every foundational level of what you need for your business, but not just in a teaching way. You're going to be doing it, and I'm going to be reviewing it and helping you and getting you to implement it and actually run through it. So all of this stuff is good, right? It goes into way more than productivity, but that's what it is. But today, it's 10% off, which means you get $50 off. So that makes it a $447 program, or 3 payments of $177, if I did my math correctly. That's what it is. And you get to participate in another program that I run if you want to, called Wake Up and Win, for free. So anyway, check that out. I'm going to put that in. There are a couple of people who have registered. I'm really excited about it. I think if you're watching and you've participated, please let people know your experience with it. But guys, just a business is a business. It's not a hobby. You have to treat it like a business, and that means structure, strategies, schedules, right? Lots of words that begin with an S. Right? You need those in order to stop feeling busy and start being productive. So anyway, but you can take these tips that I gave you right now and implement them, and I promise that alone will be enough to feel differently. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I can't wait to see you tomorrow when we talk about sales. We're going to talk about sales tomorrow, how to get more. So, okay, so I will see you then. If you have any questions about anything that you saw here, please type them in the comments, especially if you're on replay. I will definitely answer them. And remember, as my gift to you today, I'm going to share samples. I'm going to share my schedule, like my time blocks with you guys, so that you're able to dig into them. And I'm also going to share a special bonus that I had created for a challenge that I ran. I'm going to re-release it. I've taken this into retirement, but I'm going to re-release it. And it is my 40 tips to productivity, my 40 tips to ultimate productivity. And I'm going to re-release that unedited from back in the day, so I won't have my new branding, but that's my birthday gift to you guys. So, all right, guys, take care. I'll talk to you soon. Have a good one. Bye.